Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
This is Budding Bromance, episode 7.
Seven, the lucky number.
Lucky number 7.
We're almost at
Exactly.
10. We're almost at double digits.
I
That
know.
that
That's
means
crazy.
next week is our 2 month anniversary.
Speaking of double digits, it is our. Holy crap. Anyways, speaking of not 2 month anniversary, double digits.
Mhm.
I have gum in my mouth.
Of course.
I went somewhere today
Okay.
where I went for my double digit birthday.
Oh,
CC's Pizza.
really?
I went to CC's today because my brother had something like for band, right? And they went to go CC's. Like the band itself went to CC's afterwards. As a celebration. So
Wait, hold up. Pause. Today's not your birthday though. It's in June, isn't it?
yeah, but I went. I went to with him.
Oh, okay.
So I went.
Oh,
I went to the same CC's that I went to on my 10th birthday.
okay. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
Exactly. So it's pretty cool. Sitting like 5 feet away from where my 10-year-old self was. Like, holy crap, 10 years ago. Jesus Christ, a
How do
decade
you
ago.
feel?
Weird.
You're hitting
It's
the revelation.
super trippy. I do have a little lotion. My bad. Oops. Okay. Yeah. So it's crazy. Next week is 2 months already.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty insane.
You think in like 10 years from now we're still gonna be here and we'll be like, hey, 10-year anniversary, episode 1000 something.
Yeah, and maybe. I mean, might as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, might as well.
Yeah. So, how have you been? What's been going on with you
Been pretty good. Bunch of rigmarole meetings, unnecessary things.
for the short film?
Yeah, we had a makeup meeting. For like, I guess the visual department or something. Because I'm also SFX makeup.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, it was me. It was makeup. There was wardrobe people.
Okay.
And we were just like talking. And the more I work with these people, the less I want to be there.
Really?
It's like I feel like I don't understand what's going through their mind when they ask some of these things. It's like they don't understand some of the departments, I guess, because they're like they don't understand how people look in general. So we're
What do
doing
you-
like a ballet dance thing,
Yes.
right? Ballet dancers have just awful feet,
They do.
like the nails falling off, like bruising
Yeah,
everywhere.
It's like blunted. Yeah.
It's just basically destroyed feet.
Yeah, because I mean, you're abusing them like for like as your profession.
Yeah,
That's
of
what you're
course.
supposed to do. Like the boxed shoes, like that's the point.
So they're talking to me and they're like, "Can you make it to where just destroy her feet?" Like, but like she puts the shoe on and she takes it off, and it's just like all that stuff. And I'm like, "Well, it's gonna smear all the makeup if she puts the shoe on and like dances." So I was like, "I
You
have
could
to like do
two
it."
separate scenes, right?
Yeah, I was like, "I'd have to do it like specific." That's what I told him. And I was like, "I have to do it specifically for
It can't
like
be
one
a single shot.
Yeah, and they were like, "Oh, for sure, for sure." And then can you like have some of the bruising be extremely purple and fresh, and then some of the bruising be like yellowish and like old. And I'm like, bruising doesn't really work that way. Like the second that you get a bruise, it's not gonna turn purple.
No,
Like
it's
that's like a day or two old, right? I was telling them, I was trying to explain it, and they were like, whatever, just do it. And I was like, okay. And then they had another scene where somebody smashes a glass and their hand gets like cut up, and I'm like, so you want it to be like one big gash? And they're like, I want it to be one big slash across the hand.
I
And I'm
want the
like,
skin to be floppy afterwards.
yeah, and I was
really?
like, glass doesn't work like that. I was like, glass would just like give you like micro cuts and like
Yeah.
maybe like a few shards stuck in. It'd be bleeding, of course, and be nasty,
Yeah.
but like it's not gonna be like one straight gash across the hand.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. It was just like me talking to these people, and I was like, I don't really know what y'all are thinking right now. The more I work with them, the less I want to. And the way they were talking to the other departments too, they were talking to the wardrobe guy. He was like, so I was thinking, it's a dancer, so we just have him in like a leotard, and like just something cheap, right?
Yeah,
And
something
like,
easy.
they're like, no, we should like go all out. Like we should have like a ballet dress and like, like these shoes and like all these like spray paint, all these things. And I'm like, this was like 2 days ago, and I'm like, we have probably less than 6 days to get all this stuff that they want to get, including the makeup. But I mean, you know what? We'll stick with it. Like I've been saying for the past few weeks, we'll ride it out. We'll see how it goes.
Totally.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, it's just how it goes sometimes. Like how many of them have like worked on like little films before?
That's a good
Is
question.
this their first experience, or is it like?
I have no idea, if I'm being honest with you. I'm assuming that they've done something, but I'm assuming they haven't done something at this scale. Like at like, I mean, it's not that big. It's only like
Yeah,
6 or 7 of us,
But
but
it's
like,
like
just enough manpower to actually get
collaboration.
stuff. Yeah. So like, I don't know. I'm assuming they haven't done stuff at this scale, but like I don't know. I can't say for sure. I know for a fact that like 3 of them haven't done anything before,
Okay.
and they put them in the bottom positions. They wanted to get experience, so they told them, they're like, can we be like less important?
Yes.
And that those are the people that are reasonable. Even they get it, you know. They're like, I don't know,
Maybe
if we
maybe
could do this.
it's like an overconfidence thing. It's like, if you're in the director position or you're like the screenwriter or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I've worked on a few things before. You get like overconfident, and you're like, I know my capabilities.
I
I
feel
know what
like
I can, and then you don't, and it's
that's
just you're very over like you're overshooting. You're biting off way more than you could chew.
that's exactly what this is. I think like I don't even think we've casted the actors yet, and we're shooting this next weekend. You know,
Nice.
so like I'm like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, but you know, maybe it'll work out, right? Maybe it'll go amazing, and this will be my breakout career, and I can drop out of school, right?
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
That's not gonna
Wouldn't that be
happen.
nice? It's not going to happen. It's going to be probably not great, but wouldn't that be nice?
Speaking of in the past, any follow up with the writer of your book?
No, I haven't posted the clip yet.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I haven't done anything yet. I honestly might do, just a fair warning. I might do another little spiel to the camera again
Of course.
today in this episode.
The second attempt, right?
Yeah. So anybody who's listened to the past few episodes, brace yourself, okay? Because I'm gonna mention it again. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, that's just an aside for now. I'm not gonna do it right now.
Of course.
It'll be a surprise.
Any second now, it could just randomly pop up. It's gonna be like an ad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, the way video will be able to tell is I'm gonna take my glasses off to do it.
Okay, okay.
Until then, it's fine. Audio, it doesn't matter. You're just gonna have to suffer through it.
Yeah, audio. You're not relevant. Come on
You're not relevant.
now. Get on YouTube.
Video killed the radio star.
Exactly.
Okay, get it. Hop on the modern trend of just watching podcasts for some reason.
Speaking of video, the new John Wick movie came out.
It did.
The Lance Riddick's final movie.
Yes.
So I didn't think that they were like able to like put a memoriam. No spoilers for the movie. I'm not gonna spoil anything.
Okay.
But at the end, there's like an in memoriam or like dedicated to, you know.
Okay.
So like I didn't think they'd be able to do that because it was like 2 weeks. There was like a week and a half
it was
before it came out.
super soon before. Yeah.
But like so in school you learn in like the communication classes, they're all like, oh yeah, like they would, if they ever wanted to do that, they'd have to send in like a separate reel for like something they wanted to add in and tell like the projectionist like put it in here, you know. So in my mind, I don't know why I was still thinking that we used reels and stuff like that.
They used actual.
Yeah, and I was like, man, like how are they gonna send a reel in just for like to do this
all across the
theaters?
country?
But now I realize that they probably just like send it over Wi-Fi, like
just a
a
digital thing.
file,
Yeah.
of just the movie. I don't know why that just never clicked with me, and I was like, wow, they could probably do that the day before.
They're
if they
still
wanted
using
to.
analog technology. It's still it's very much very real and relevant. People need to do this.
The projectionist got to come out at the end, like, sorry guys, there was an in memoriam. It hasn't arrived yet through the mail. The carrier pigeon is still on its way.
Exactly. And the Union has just defeated the Confederacy as well.
Yeah.
Wow, we went over all different freaking eras. We went
good.
through analog film, then carrier pigeon, and then freaking Civil War.
Hey, that's the important ones, right?
Totally.
Who needs anything else?
Who needs anything?
Or
else?
other countries' histories.
Yeah,
Don't matter.
Gettysburg Address, goated.
Mm-hmm. Never forget the Alamo.
Oh, maybe. But that's for another day.
Forgot the Alamo?
No. I've actually done the opposite, but I can't. I'm not gonna go off today because I live in Texas.
That's right.
And if you say anything against the Alamo, you might be executed by firing squad. So
amen, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, follow up from last week also. So we'll just do the beginning section as like a follow up from last week for like the episodes. I feel like that's a good.
Yeah, it's just the recap.
Yeah.
Quick
So
recap.
we were talking about Donald Trump being arrested.
Yes.
I got completely fooled. There was a bunch of AI images that got released.
Dude,
of like him just like fighting these cops off. I thought it was so funny. I sent it to Sergio and I was like, bro, he actually got arrested.
Yeah.
Until I like went to the comments and they were like, oh, this is AI.
It's fake.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, never mind. I sent him a message right after. I was like, never mind, it's fake.
I thought honestly, I didn't check. Right, I didn't check it after you told me, so I was just assuming that it was true and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, cool, right? I guess awesome. I don't know what this is gonna accomplish, but awesome, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then you sent a few minutes later, and I was like, oh, never mind.
Those pictures are so funny. You've seen them.
I've seen
right?
them. I've seen them. I think everybody has.
Yeah.
Or anybody who uses like social media. I heard one person's thought on this. It's like if we could be fooled, if like Zoomers and like all these people who are used to like seeing AI images and AI generated content at this point, how do you how do you think Boomers feel
Oh, for
seeing it?
sure.
They're like, oh my god.
They were already tweeting out on Facebook like January 6th, round
Yeah,
two. You
like,
know.
exactly. It's terrifying. The fact that you could just make those images and you could fool a large portion of the population, especially older people, because like they don't know what any of this is. They don't know how any of it functions. They don't understand anything
Mhm.
in relation to like actual like like cutting edge technology or whatever. I mean, I hardly do, right? I
Mhm.
don't. So I could only imagine what it's like for someone who grew up in like the 70s,
Yeah.
right? It's when they were still using analog film.
Yeah, they were
Reels.
still sending carrier pigeons, you
Still
know?
sending carrier pigeons. It's crazy. I don't. It's terrifying. But that's. I don't want to get into like the whole existential dread of AI and
Yeah.
derail this entire episode
Dooming,
because
pilling it.
doom pilling about AI is super easy.
Mhm.
Like just it's one of the easiest things to fall into. It's like, oh, there's like most experts say there's at least a 10% chance of AI like causing the extinction of humanity and all that. It's
Wait,
like, man,
what? They don't say that, do they?
yeah, some have. I've heard at
Oh,
least
okay.
allegedly. I'm
Allegedly.
not saying that for certain because
Not
I
confirmed.
not confirmed. It's just me. It's me saying
Ser-
that I've heard it from
Ser-
somewhere else. Okay?
Sergio's actually an expert in human
I'm
extinction.
spitballing.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
just
I
throwing ideas out
actually, I'm one of the foremost experts on human extinction.
there. He's like the Fauci of human extinction, right?
Yeah. Um. But yeah, it's
I just realized that sounded like I'm like Republican because I realized it sounded like I'm saying. Never mind. Don't forget what I just said. Like,
What do you mean? Fauci is for human extinction.
Yeah, but like you know how people
He
are always like, "Oh, Fauci's a liar." Like,
he made
don't
us
listen
get
to
the
Fauci.
jab.
Yeah,
He is.
the jab. You know, she chipped us all, or he
Yeah,
chipped us.
they
All.
microchipped us all.
Yeah, like I realize now that it sounds like I'm saying that Sergio's like a fraud as well as Fauci is a fraud.
It's okay. I mean, he didn't do nearly enough of what he should have whenever
Yeah,
he had the opportunity to. But that's whatever.
it's fine. You know, could have done more.
Yeah, he's a.
How many jabs have you had? How many microchips do you have in you?
I don't remember.
You know, you
I know
lost
I
count.
really don't remember.
I actually have like like 3 vaccine cards of just filled up jabs.
Nice.
Every month I'd go and get a new
It's
one.
like, I would put on a fake mustache, top hat, trench coat, new ID. Just present them another ID. It's like
Yeah, I'd call up a friend and be like, "Hey, I need you to be in the man under the trench coat, like
Yeah.
so I can be on your shoulders." You know,
exactly.
it was easy. You know.
And you'd also pose as your father.
Yeah. I have another the vaccine card of his name filled
Yeah.
up.
You're just like, I've got 57 of them. I can't get sick anymore. I'm immortal.
I'm immune.
I
I am the super virus.
I am the super spreader. I can send it to everybody. It's like, yeah, it's just, I haven't fallen asleep in 7 days. But yeah, it's whatever. AI is terrifying, and I don't want to even get started on that.
Yeah, I gotta say though, that one picture of him. There's a picture where he's like almost running away from like them. Like that picture's so funny to me. Just imagining the actual Trump trying to like sprint away from New York police. Like, I don't know why that mental image is just funny.
Because it would never happen, right?
Yeah.
That would never happen.
I don't even know if he can run, you know. But like the picture
True.
of him just like breaking off like a linebacker is like just like juking people out.
It's awesome. I love it. It's hilarious.
I can imagine them taking like 4 cops to take him down. Like I don't know why. It's just the picture's funny.
Yeah.
Pictures are funny.
No, but yeah, I was
Orange Man funny.
Orange Man funny.
Yeah.
Orange Man very funny.
Very funny.
Actually, it's crazy that he was president. But again, it's crazy that most presidents
Was
president. Was president.
What do you mean was?
You're right. I'm sorry. He's still the president. He's
Amen.
my president.
Amen, brother.
My president.
Amen.
that true South Texas spirit. But yeah, so it's crazy that most presidents were presidents anyways, because you see them and you're just like, this dude is lame.
He's
lame. He's really lame. Like, I can't believe he was the leader of like a global superpower, of the global superpower for
the
like,
global super.
it's I don't know. It's mind blowing. But yeah. Yeah, who cares? What could you do? You know?
Segueing off of Trump,
Yeah.
if you'd let me, right?
Yeah, go for it.
Have you heard about the Kim Jong-un thing?
No, I haven't. Well, like, no, I haven't.
He threatened nuclear warfare again.
He always does.
Yeah. I don't know. I get that'd be interesting.
He's
No, I feel like they bring this out every week where he's like, yeah, he said he could have a nuke.
yeah.
And we're just kind of like, oh, okay.
He's a little man.
Yeah.
A little man with big weapons, and that's it.
North Korean man bad.
North Korea bad. U.S. good, Orange Man funny, North Korea bad,
Mm-hmm.
and
Amen.
China bad, and Russia bad, and many other almost every nation in the world bad except for
Oh,
U.S.
but he's losing weight, Kim Jong Un.
Oh really?
Yeah, and it's illegal to
Nice.
talk about his weight loss.
What do you mean? He's always looked like this.
Yeah,
He's always been this
godly physique, you know.
godly. He is preordained by God to be leader. He's just always looked like this. He isn't trying. It's just naturally like carving him into the perfect leader that he's always been meant to be.
You know, I heard Kim Jong Un can actually bench 1,000 for warm up.
For warm up.
For warm up, that's his warm up. 1,000
And-
pounds.
And you'll be thrown in prison if you say otherwise.
Be like, what? I didn't hear that. Oh, prison.
Prison.
Get him out of here.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, that's cool. That's cool that he's been losing weight. Good for him. I mean, obviously he's a bad guy, but you
he's
know,
not a bad guy. Like
he's
Wreck-It
not a
Ralph.
bad guy. Oh yeah. What was it? It was Zangief from Street Fighter.
Yeah, he's not even a bad guy.
No.
Thingy.
Zangief.
Oops.
Dang, it sounded like it cracked.
We're good. No cracks.
Sweet.
Android for life.
Oh yeah, you are the bad guy,
Ye-
but you are not bad guy. or
Yeah.
something, right?
Ralph's like, yeah, I think I can agree with him.
Yeah.
See, Ralph, what he's trying to say. That's the Kim Jong Un was in that meeting with them in the circle. He was just off camera a little
Yeah.
bit, so that way they could show it in North Korea.
Like photo real, like it's just him, like
Like-
superimposed into
in like
this
a
thing.
green screen background. He's
He's
just sitting there. He's like, ah, nice Sengi, you know?
Yeah. God, I don't know, man. You know, again, he always threatens nuclear war. They always do tests over like, you know, over Japan or whatever,
Mhm.
or like in that general area, like over their airspace and stuff. But again,
Oh,
who cares?
that's right. I'm sorry. He threatened nuclear war against South Korea. That's what it
South
was.
Korea.
So I think
Ooh.
that's like a new threat. That's why it's like a bigger deal, but like,
It's the same. It's the same thing, but like it's like a what is it? Same something new like
day,
yeah, kind of right. No,
same poop, different day.
I guess. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I don't remember the saying.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
But
But
yeah,
we're not experts here, you know.
we're not
just-
experts. We're just two again 20-something dudes talking about whatever they want.
Exactly.
Don't take us, you know, for experts on anything or authorities on anything.
I gotta follow up on something that
up?
we talked about like 4 episodes ago. By the way,
Okay, go for
I
it.
visited Dan's Pizza.
You visited Dan's Pizza.
I went to Dan's Pizza.
Okay, how was
So
it?
I want to know. Tell me everything that you know about Dan's Pizza. Like, tell me like
I haven't
your
been.
opinions on it.
I haven't been in years.
Mhm.
It's been actual years since I've been. But last time I remember going, pizza was good. Like pretty thin crust overall, like a thin slice, but pretty cheesy.
Hmm.
Like think of like Ninja Turtles like aesthetic, where like they
Very
buy,
cheesy. I
cheesy?
can agree
Okay,
with
good.
that. Yeah.
and then like the mozzarella sticks were godly.
Really?
They were again super cheesy, super like whenever they serve it like very hot, crispy, like a little greasy obviously, but that's like kind of what you want.
Mm.
And then like you know the mozzarella cheese is just like crazy like long, awesome.
I think you're gonna hate me for what I'm about to say.
You thought it was mid.
Okay, so the cheese sticks. You remember I was telling about Dots, the cafe?
You
right?
think those are better?
They're like actually like hand breaded, homemade. You know what I mean?
And these are just like
These-
microwave?
These cheese sticks are pre-made, and I
Really?
was like, I was eating them, and I was like, man, these are just no offense. I'm not trying to
Yeah,
diss you, right?
no,
But I was
that's
like,
fine.
in my opinion, I was like, these kind of taste just like average cheese sticks. I don't.
Dang.
They're nice. Every cheese stick is a nice cheese stick. You know,
Every cheese stick is.
they got a
cheese
nice
stick.
crisp to them, a nice cheese.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, it ain't Dots, you know.
Okay.
And I gotta bring you some Dots cheese sticks,
Go for it.
and
Yeah.
we're gonna taste sample them on screen.
That's fine. Also, along those lines,
I have another thing to build off after you.
all right. We watched because you know Pedro Pascal is like a really popular. He's like hitting his peak right now. He's popping off everywhere. Okay. Which you know, well deserved. Cool guy.
Of course.
But
If
know,
you
he
ever want to
went-
be on the podcast, Pedro.
if you ever
are-
want to be on the podcast, please, please answer us.
reach out a message.
No, yeah. I've messaged you 47. I keep saying 47, don't I? Or 57 or
Mhm.
7 days. I like the numbers. It is episode 7. It works. But yeah, so because he was on Hot Ones, or like his Hot Ones episode
Oh, yeah.
was released like last week or something.
Mhm.
And at the end of the episode, or at the end of every video, every Hot Ones video, they you know, the dude Sean Evans, he's like, go to heatonist.com and you know buy the box, like the full box for this season, like you know to try or like to do your own Hot Ones thing.
Mhm.
Allie was
Oh.
Allie was watching it with me, and she's like, why don't you guys do that.
That'd be nice.
And I was like, awesome. The box is like $110.
Oh wow,
A lot of money. Very expensive.
We could save up and then go half.
Exactly.
Right?
We could save up. Not anytime soon, obviously, but maybe for like, a special episode.
Yeah, maybe Thanksgiving or something. Right?
Exactly. But I was thinking, because I was thinking about it yesterday. We should do like an actual, like, you're across the table, like two different cameras with like
dude,
the actual
yes.
like it'll be like this, right? Like where you're sitting across from each other, but then we'll take turns being the interviewer, because I can't help but notice the host, Sean Evans, every time he interviews, or like every episode that I've seen, he's always doing like this hand motion, or like certain like sayings, or like
he
it's always like
with his hands.
yeah, it's always like, especially this motion right here. I've seen him do it every
Right,
interview.
though.
So I was like, we'll just like goof on him a little bit, and like, like try to make it as similar as possible.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
But that's way down the line, not anytime super soon. Even though I do want to get it for this season, because this season's spices do look, or sauces do look cool. So yeah.
But I also was gonna say I've also had a viewer recommendation from Yvonne.
Okay.
She said we should do tier lists.
Tier lists.
She said she would love to watch us just talk about like anything and just put it on a tier list.
Yes.
So like, for example, like wing flavors. Like we get all the sauces and we can be like, oh, like the bomb, right?
Yeah.
S tier. And then
The
we
bomb is
discuss why.
supposed to be god awful.
Is it?
It's supposed to be disgusting.
Really?
It's supposed to be one of the most disgusting.
Don't they still use it?
They use it. But
Why?
like, it's the most recent one was Bob Odenkirk from like Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad and all that stuff, and he hated that one. Like, he vocally, like, outwardly just said it tasted like Satan's butthole or something. So I maybe it will be S tier.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, Satan's
would you
butthole.
be down for that? Like a tier list? Like it could be anything over anything. I guess it's just got to be something we're both knowledgeable in.
Yeah, or it doesn't really. You don't have to be knowledgeable. You just have to, like. You could, like, always do like. God, I'm burping so much. This is what CC's Pizza does to you.
It's like the drug commercials.
This is your brain on CC's Pizza, and it's just, I don't know,
It's
pizza.
just like,
they show a pizza and it's like burping.
the compilation of you just like
Oh.
in between everything.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I think we don't have to be knowledgeable on it per se, because we could be, right?
Yeah.
You could just give your thoughts on something like you already know about. But you could also, like, do it live. It's just like,
Another
this is disgusting.
Another idea I thought of, right? I'd love to do that live, by the way. Is that like we have a different alternating segment every week where it's like we show the other person how to do a new skill,
Okay.
or like, a skill that we don't know or something, and it's just like them learning. Maybe it could be like across the table, like you were saying. But for example, like, I don't know, like for example, right? Like if I played like Yu-Gi-Oh, right? I could try to explain it to you within like 30 minutes or something.
Okay.
And you can like just cut it up in the editing, maybe like 10, 20 minutes or something of footage. And then I'll just be like, okay, now you're going to like duel against an AI using on easy mode or something. You know what I mean?
Okay.
To see if you can win. You know? I don't know. Like, just it doesn't have to be that. It could be like anything. You know?
Anything. Yeah. Any skill.
Like,
anything.
Yeah. You could be like, I'm going to teach you how to like, I don't know. I don't know.
Teach you how to ride a bike.
Yeah, teach me how to ride a bike, and then I fall off. You know.
Yeah, and then ride the Tour de France at the end of the video. It's like we've been recording over the past 7 years. 7 again. I used number 7. Over the past
number.
Lucky number. Over the past 7 years, we've been like taking intervals, and it's just like us really old at that point, doing a Mr. Beast style video. Even though, I don't know, maybe he'll be dead by then. Not to jinx it, right?
FBI, we didn't predict this, in 7 years. January 7th, 2020, 2030.
2030.
January 7th, 2030. Watch out.
And watch out, Mr. Beast. This is not a threat. No, please. Yeah, so, Mr. Beast style video in 2030, even though maybe we'll all be dead, or it'll just be like AI stuff, and the Tour de France is just gonna be like little androids cycling on like little like cyber bikes or whatever.
Could be. Who knows?
Like it's like the Tron bikes.
Oh, and then like they just we watch as entertainment, and the bots can like kill each other because there's bots.
Oh yeah, and then there's one person, which would be you.
You just have to survive.
You just have to survive. You have to ride out the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I could do that. That's easy.
Yeah, easy peasy.
At 7 years of practice, put me in. Yeah.
Facts though. I mean, if I would have kept learning how to speed cube, like use the Rubik's cube, for those who don't know, really fast. Just solve the Rubik's cube very fast, right? Like there's like a whole competitive um nature. Like there's a whole competitive scene to it,
Hmm.
right? With people solving the cube in fractions of seconds. Like not fractions, I would say. There is like I don't know what the world record is currently. Maybe like
Probably like less than 3 seconds.
last time I checked, it was like 2 something,
Yeah.
right? So in seconds, but it could be even faster now, honestly. If you get just like a really lucky scramble, right? Because scrambles are whenever a certain person scrambles it for you and then they place it in front of you, so there's no like cheating, no nothing, right? Um, but yeah, so there's a whole competitive scene, and I started getting into it 8 years ago. I was in seventh grade,
Mm.
and it was a little bit before I went to the hospital for like a month or so, but that's another story for another day. Um, that year I got into speed cubing, and I think my best time was 13 seconds.
Golly.
I reached, but that was before I'd gone to the hospital, and
Hospital ruined your career. You could have been like pro by now.
on 8 years of practice, might as well. That's where I
Yeah.
was going with that. It's like it was 8 years ago. If I just kept up,
You're like those tore my ACL in the hand guys.
yeah,
If I didn't tore my
Oh.
ACL hand, I'd.
yeah. Honestly though, like who knows, right? 8 years of experience. If I really had kept up with it, would be insane. So 7 years of learning how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just thought it'd be interesting. Yeah, y'all can if anybody's watching this and y'all want to see this, let us know. Like, I think it'd be interesting. Like,
I'll figure out how to leave suggestions
you
somewhere. I
you
don't
can
know.
teach me how to solve a Rubik's cube and then be like, solve it in less than 30 seconds. That's the challenge, right?
Yeah.
At 30 seconds might be too quick.
Way
Solve it in
too
less than a
quick.
minute.
A minute.
Yeah.
A minute.
I don't know. I think it'd be fun, and then we can bring in special guests, right?
Mhm.
People for things that neither of us know how to do,
Yeah. Like,
and
like committing war crimes.
yeah, exactly, committing war crimes.
Yeah.
We can bring in Obama,
Yeah.
and then
bring Bush.
he'll teach us how to
He's an
fly a
expert.
drone, right?
I didn't realize that Bush admitted to the invasion of Iraq being an unjustifiable like move.
When did he admit that?
He was talking about Putin's invasion of Ukraine and saying, how one man could launch such an unjustifiable war against. And then he said Iraq,
Mm.
and he
Oh,
meant Ukraine.
I remember
And
that.
then like a pause and like Iraq too, and then everybody chuckled. Like everybody in the room had a little guffaw, a little laugh,
That's funny, actually.
and I was like,
He's self-aware.
he's very self-aware. Dick Cheney, freaking, I think it was Cheney, drew out oil maps in 2001, like 3 years before they even invaded.
Mm.
Like oil maps of the freaking, where the oil fields are, so that they could like find a way to invade, because Iraq had nothing to do with Al Qaeda, but that's aside from the point.
Mhm.
Like they just used it as an excuse to freaking
Middle East bad.
yeah. They just said Middle East bad, Saddam Hussein bad, which Saddam Hussein was bad. Okay, he
Mhm.
was very bad, but
His little hidey hole with the breathing tube and
yeah, but he was like, we just destabilized the entire country. We just robbed it of its natural resources. We just did all this for no reason, and used 9/11 as an excuse, even though Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. But whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, bring Bush on to teach us about war crimes.
he'll justify his own actions.
Yeah.
What was I saying before we got off in this view? Like before the original, like
People, like guests talking to us about stuff.
no, it was before that. Rewind. So like, I was talking about something, and then you were like, "Oh, you had an idea," or somebody told you an idea, and then we talked about the hot wings idea.
Yes.
What were we talking about before the hot wings? It was Pedro
Ooh.
Pascal.
Yeah.
Or Pedro.
We were talking about the mozzarella sticks.
Mozzarella sticks. Dan's Pizza. Right. back to my review. Right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say the pizza. I went with Yvonne. Right.
Yeah.
And the pizza was. I enjoyed the pizza because I really like cheese. I
Okay.
love cheesy. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think the pizza was like amazing because I thought the sauce was very like mid, but the cheese covered it up.
Okay.
And it was nice. The crust also mid, but the cheese was nice. I'm a fan of cheese, so
You're
I'll
a cheese
give
guy.
I'll give the pizza like a decent rating. But then like as I was sitting there afterwards, I was like, man, that was a lot of cheese. You know what I mean? And it started
Ooh.
hitting me that thing where I was like, man, that was a lot of cheese. It didn't like affect my body or anything, but
Yeah.
I was like, man, maybe it just wasn't as good as I thought because I just feel like it was the cheese, which it was nice cheese. I can't deny.
Uh-huh.
It's not like the cheese was cheap, you know. It had a sweet flavor, sweet like smoky. It was nice, right? But like in my mind, I was like, I don't think I would go here again, you know? Like,
yeah.
but it was nice. I thought it was nice. Yvonne hated it. She hates a
Ooh.
ton of cheese.
Okay.
and then the crust and the sauce just wasn't that good. So like
Uh-huh.
she was like,
There was no
no.
redeeming quality to it for her.
For her, it was just like a 0 out of 10.
Yeah.
Mozzarella sticks for her were just, like
They
I
were
said,
okay.
we're used to dots. We'll bring you some. We should do a cheese stick tier list. You know what I mean?
That would be good. That would actually
That
be
could
cool.
be our first one.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, I don't really know. Like, how do we even get that? Like, who sells cheese sticks that's worth reviewing? We can do Dan's. We can do Dots.
You know what? You know what we could do?
Hmm.
God, this is gonna sound so. I don't think it would sound scummy.
Do it.
No, I was saying we could do the stuff, but we could maybe do it as like an extra thing, like a bonus episode, like bonus, like content,
I don't know what you mean.
like a Patreon.
Oh, link in the description. No,
Actually, maybe it might
Really?
be. It might be in the description.
I'm down. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody would pay for that though.
Or no, I mean, you know, like
It's optional. Bonus content.
let's say $2 a month. You get bonus content.
Mhm.
Us trying hot wings, mozzarella sticks, war crimes, etc.
And we rate them on a tier.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that won't be the case, but perhaps.
Yeah.
We'll
I don't
see.
know. I thought tier list would be an interesting idea too.
That would be
'Cause, like we could just, like I said, we don't have to know anything about it. We could do like Renaissance paintings, and it's like I'm not feeling the vibe of this one, you know, or
Yeah.
something. And
Oh,
museums,
true.
you know.
Like this piece is kind of overrated.
Yeah,
Like
like
it's just like the Mona Lisa.
not a fan of this guy tearing his face off and screaming, you know.
Yeah. It's all right. That's the scream, right?
Mhm. I did have another one I want to talk about though. Not what I guess we can make it into a tier list later. But I recently downloaded the demo for a game called Diablo 4.
Okay.
Have you heard of Diablo?
Yeah.
Have you played it at all? Seen any
no,
of the others?
I've played what's it called? Path of Exile, which is considered to be like at least I think like an MMO kind of version of Diablo.
Mm.
But aside from that, I've never actually played any of the mainline games.
Yeah, I've never either. This is my first time playing any type of game like this.
Is it in
But-
beta still?
Huh?
Or is it
Yeah.
in beta still?
It's
Okay.
like a demo, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So I downloaded the demo and I was playing it, and it was like the depiction of demons and stuff in that is terrifying. Like they don't show a lot, but like it's just the depiction of the underworld. It's one of those things, you know, like not everybody can get a depiction of it quite right. You know,
Yeah.
some of the things you watch, you're like, oh, that's not that scary, you know. But then some media you're watching and you're like, that's awful, you know. Never want to visit there in my life. Don't want to be Dante, right?
Yeah, I don't want to be Dante going through the Inferno.
Right, like Dante's Inferno is
Mhm.
terrifying to think about. You're like, wow, that's like there's whole like a layers and systems. There's like a what is it called when there's like a monarch
A hierarchy.
hierarchy? Yeah, there's like a whole hierarchy to these things, you know. And I wanted to say, what are your favorite depictions of the underworld, or least favorite? What makes it scary to you? Like, is it scary when it's like blood and brimstone and fire and chains, or is it scary when it's just cold, it's just pitch black, nothing?
Okay, so the first thing that came to mind for me was from I don't remember what season it was of Supernatural.
Oh,
Okay, the
yeah,
show.
that was like season 4, I think.
Maybe I think it was either 3 or 4 where like Dean gets like, you know, like
Spoilers.
oh yeah, spoilers by the way for season 3 of Supernatural if you haven't seen it.
yeah.
Even though the show's been out for what like a decade now? Over 2 decades?
Skip like 20 seconds, so we'll say it real quick, right?
20 seconds. Okay, 30
30
seconds.
seconds. Skip 30
skip
seconds ahead.
So yeah, whenever Dean's like, you know, on like the meat hooks or like
Yes,
the chains
yes,
or
and
whatever,
he's-
like being like,
Sammy.
Ah!
That was terrifying to
Okay.
me.
That's fine. But then there was another part where Crowley had taken over as
Mhm.
king, and I know it was like played for a joke or whatever, but he's like, it's just like he molded hell into his own version of like into his own version, which was like very corporate, like you're in a waiting line
Oh, yeah.
forever. Like that's what it was. It was
Mhm.
just like, you know, waiting line forever. Haha. What worst existence could there be?
Mhm.
And that's it. So hi, if you're back. If it's been 30 seconds, I don't know how long it's been. Probably not.
Mhm.
But if you're back, hello. We're done with that.
Yeah. But I do agree. I think the first depiction is very terrifying. The second one's more comedic.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know it's like torture and like
Mhm.
you know eternal pain and suffering forever
Yeah,
and all
of
that.
course.
But
But it's like I don't think that every depiction of eternal torture and suffering's that scary, if that makes sense. I mean, it's like scary to think about, I guess, but it's just like some media just doesn't do it right. Like you watch it and you're like, oh, that's not as scary looking as I
Yeah.
thought it would be, you know?
I could see that. There was this book I'd read,
Mhm.
Lost Gods, I think is what it was called. When was it? Sophomore year of high school, maybe.
Hmm.
Pretty big book,
Of course.
but it dealt with different like I guess occult subjects like you know purgatory, uh the underworld and like all this stuff, and it was really cool. There was like it's super cool. Like there were very intricate systems. It was like genuinely very cool. It was a good book. It also came with like illustrations, like super, just a very cool book. Okay,
That is cool,
but
actually.
the some of the aspects of even just purgatory were terrifying. It was like there's like the river Styx is just a sea of souls and people like flowing like eternally and like torture, and like there's like huge clouds and storms of just souls in eternal torment, like
What is the river
screaming and
Styx?
crying out in pain, like the river of the dead in
Oh,
like Greek
okay.
mythology or something.
Oh, okay.
But like
Gotcha.
he used it like of just like the river itself is made up of people's souls and they're just like suffering, and like
Mm,
people's souls could be eaten. I think it was another aspect. And
mm.
there's all these like angels and demons and old gods that have been forgotten fighting, and like it was
Wow.
so cool. Such a cool book. I need to read it again. But yeah, it was that has to be like a super cool description, like pretty terrifying in some aspects,
Yeah.
but it still had like sort of an economy. There were like some forms of like little currency. It was still kind of like a second life, I guess.
Mm.
But it was, still very terrifying. And because you could die in like purgatory, and then what happens after? I don't know.
Yeah, what does happen actually? Do you just like respawn? I remember in,
And
in
you
like the Bible they say
respawn.
you just kind of like put yourself back together just for it to happen again, right?
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think. I mean, I could be misquoting, right? I'm not a Bible expert,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, you don't want to misquote the good book.
the our Lord's book,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Savior,
the good book that's been like rewritten and reinterpreted
millions of
doesn't, yeah,
times.
at least dozens of
It's
times,
split off into
like
like millions
officially.
of different religions.
Yeah, whatever. Um,
We're not getting into that, right?
no,
So,
no, we're not.
yeah, but like, I don't know. I just think depictions of the underworld can be very terrifying or just fall flat. I think
Yeah.
they're very terrifying when they have depth, like when they have. I've always said like I think things are better when they're explained or they have some sort of physics to them. Like in ghost movies, I always mention this whenever I watch a
Okay.
ghost physics. Did we talk about this before? I think I've mentioned ghost physics to you.
I don't recall. Maybe I
So
just wasn't paying attention, but I don't think so.
I think what makes specifically supernatural movies, not like killer movies, I guess,
Uh-huh.
unless it's like Jason Voorhees, he's supernatural in a way.
It's just
He's
slow
just a
walk,
tank that
but
comes back from the dead every
he
two
can't die.
seconds. Yeah, I think ghost physics make things scary in movies like that. So like, what's a not scary? Do you know a not scary ghost movie that you've seen?
I don't really watch many scary movies, any ghost movies, because I don't really feel like sitting down to watch jump scares or like, not. It's the same reason I don't watch sad movies. I don't want to go out of my way to feel scared, maybe like jump scared or whatever, and I
Mhm.
also don't want to go out of my way to see like anything like uh gory or over the top or anything. Same
Got
with
you.
sad movies. I don't want to get attached to the characters and then have my heart ripped out voluntarily, right? I don't want to 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 what do you call it? To like to put myself through that on purpose. I don't want to go through that,
No, I
right?
understand. I
I'd rather
understand.
just not. So that's why I don't really watch too many scary movies or ghost movies or sad or anything.
For sure, for sure. I'll name an example for it. Have you seen Evil Dead?
No.
Have you heard of Evil Dead? Do you
Oh,
know like the like how it starts or anything?
I've heard the name being tossed around, but again, I've never seen it. I
Okay.
never really seen much of it at all.
So in Evil Dead, the way every movie starts, or most movies start, is it always starts with like these books of evil,
Yes.
right? And it's just kind of like it's just ancient evil like written down into pages, and like in the pages is like how to summon demons, how to do this, how to do that, right? And it's
Uh-huh.
called the Necronomicon,
Yes.
the Book of the Dead.
Yeah.
So it always starts with like a bunch of teenagers in a cabin. They find the book, and they're like, "Whoa, look at this! This is fake. I'm getting an eerie feeling, guys. Maybe we should leave, right?"
Yeah.
But somebody's like, "Oh, watch this," and they like read it's Latin,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
And somebody speaks Latin all the time, and they're like, "Shouldn't read
Huh.
like some serious stuff." You know? Somebody goes down and reads it, right? Because it'll like whisper to somebody in their dream, you know?
Then it summons a demon.
Yeah, and then it'll basically like the entire like little segment that they're in is just like entrapped in a bubble of evil, you know? But like it has physics, you know, like it doesn't just happen randomly. It's like the book can like whisper if you're in proximity to it and like kind of influence you a bit, but you still have to do it. Then once it started, it's not like anything can happen. Like things still make sense. That makes sense, you know?
Things are not grounded in reality, but
Mhm. There's logic.
a little more logical
Yeah.
than. I mean, yes, it's something that's illogical, right? Something that wouldn't happen in general, but like trying to make it a little more feasible.
Mhm.
Like, like maybe this, like it's not, I just broke the world in half or anything. It's like it's a little bubble of
Exactly.
evil that I just summoned on accident.
Well,
Oops.
I'll actually compare it. We'll do the first Nightmare on Elm Street movies to the last few.
Okay.
In the first Nightmare on Elm Street movies, it's logical. It makes sense. He gets you in your dreams.
Yeah.
Everybody falls asleep. But they were like, well, they're still your dreams, right? So you should be able to influence and pull him out. So they pull him out, and it works, right? But then the second and the onwards, they kind of just reverse all the logic. And they're like, well, just kidding. It didn't actually work. Just kidding. He's still alive. Just kidding. He's immortal. Just kidding. You can't stop him.
Yeah.
And they kind of like take away the logic. And because of that, it becomes less scary.
It's less scary because
they made it more comedic.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it makes it more absurd. And you're kind of like not afraid anymore. You're just kind of like, oh, well, they don't stand a chance no matter what. Because he could just do whatever he wants. You fall asleep while you're awake and somehow you don't even know. It was cool in the first movie. I think that's what makes movies scary.
Yes. What then is your opinion on Eldritch horror?
Well, Eldritch horror is like, for the most part,
that is so absurd that it's like beyond your realm of comprehension.
Is it Eldritch or Eldritch?
Eldritch. ELDRITCH.
Eldritch horror is like, usually you'd think you'd be like, no, that's not scary to me because like it's not logical. Like that would never happen. But the thing is, anybody who writes or directs or does anything with Eldritch is a genius. They're like supercomputer geniuses. Like they come up with like entire plot lines for like these things. And I think they're one of the most terrifying things. Like the clown is Eldritch horror. Like he's not even from the world.
Yeah.
But like Stephen King wrote like a whole like thing for him.
Yeah.
Of like, I don't even know.
Did you know that Stephen King's books, or at least most of his books, I think maybe all, I don't think it's all of them, but like most of them are like within like a shared universe somehow.
The Dark Tower universe.
Yeah. Awesome.
And Pennywise is in there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think those things are terrifying. Or like, Cthulhu. Like he's always been here, like and like those are terrifying because they make sense.
He's just been asleep forever.
Exactly.
And once he wakes up, he will herald the old gods, and they'll just come and we're insignificant to them. It does like they don't even register us as real. It's just we're dead.
We're just like ants to them,
Yeah, it's like we're recording this and then poop gone.
Exactly. Like I think that's terrifying because like it makes sense. It's not just like anything can happen. It's like something has to trigger these things, or they can't just teleport. Like Cthulhu's not just gonna appear.
Yeah. He teleports just like farts and leaves.
Like I think, for example, another awful movie, right? Well, maybe not awful. What's a bad one? What's a bad movie? Man, what is a bad movie? It's hard to think of the bad ones. You know what I mean? Can you think of any like horror movies that you just think are bad? I'm gonna Google some while you think of it.
I mean, I've heard people clown on Paranormal Activity.
But the first one's okay. We'll do Paranormal Activity, right?
Yeah.
So the first one's terrifying, right? Because this paranormal thing, you can't see it, but like you can like tell where it's walking. If that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like it's still like almost a physical thing.
Yeah.
Even though you can't see it, and nobody can touch it.
It's a little more vague. Like it's like it leaves room for interpretation. Like it's like more room for your imagination.
Yeah.
To run wild.
The entire movie, spoilers for Paranormal Activity, it's in the basement. It's hiding in the basement. That's where it stays for most of the movie.
Okay.
And the woman will get possessed by it. And whenever it's possessing her, it's like you can tell. You know what I mean? Like something's going on. It'll like open their door at night and it'll come out and wander the halls at night. And it's terrifying. The first one's like so scary. I was scared out of my mind.
Yeah.
The later ones, these ghosts just do whatever they want. They're like in some random building or, in their home. And suddenly they've been living there for years. And then possession happens. And it's like the cabinets just fly open all around the house. And like every 2 seconds there's a jump scare.
And they start doing the Harlem Shake.
Yeah, they start doing the Harlem Shake.
Because that was around the same time as the Harlem Shake, right?
For sure, yeah.
The Paranormal Activity movies. Jesus Christ.
Filthy Frank.
My God.
Back at it again.
But
no, I don't think that's very scary because it's like, well, the ghost can just do whatever it wants. It's not like the ghost doesn't even have a goal. In Paranormal Activity 1, the ghost kind of had a goal. And it was obvious to tell that it was after the woman.
Yeah. And
it's revealed later on. She was like, yeah, I've had it my whole life. And this dude's like, you just lied to me? Like, you've had it your whole life. It's a really good moment. You know what I mean? But she's like trying to like gaslight him and be like, well, it's not that bad though. It's never been this bad. And like, but the other movies, it's just kind of like, oh, it does whatever it wants because it can do whatever it wants. I don't think that's very scary. I'm like, explain some stuff. Show me that like it walks around or like where it is.
Yeah.
Skinamarink, right? That was terrifying because it was upstairs the whole movie. And it would lure the kids to it. Right?
Yeah.
And although it would like warp reality, it still had like a little bit of limit. It wasn't just like doing whatever it wanted. It had a goal, just to torture the kids. I don't know. I thought it was terrifying.
I mean, yeah, it is definitely scary. And scarier whenever it's like, there's a clear purpose in the narrative that like, is meant to invoke something within you. Like it's like there's a purpose to it. I get it.
I guess I just like it when they have a weakness. Or some sort of thing to them, some sort of
Yeah,
complexity.
yeah. Instead of just, I don't know, maybe like
Ooga booga.
Ooga Booga, or like I guess the original Godzilla, maybe, where it's just like big lizard destroy stuff. Even though the original Godzilla was, I've heard, not bad,
Mhm.
good actually, because it was meant as a critique of the dropping of the atomic bombs on Japan.
Was
And
it?
like, yeah, because that's the whole thing. It's like most Japanese like culture, or like media or whatever, like after World War II, is nuclear like monsters and like trauma, and like Godzilla, like to because
Do
it's
you
it's a nuclear lizard and all that stuff. Whereas in the United States we have like comic book like franchises built upon like heroes that came out of nuclear radiation. It's like two different sides of,
the
well,
same coin,
the
I
same
guess.
coin, where it's like nuclear energy for us is like, oh my god, this gave me superpowers, even though this would not happen in real life.
Mm.
Where in Japan it's like it's more, it's not realistic per se, because just Godzilla is not necessarily realistic, but it's more traumatic. It causes destruction,
He's
right? It's
real
like,
to me.
he's real to me. I believe in
Yeah, yeah,
him.
and then even America like remakes the movies, and we're like, oh, Godzilla's awesome. Like
Yeah,
he like has laser breath and like fights King Kong and like
yeah, and he's a good guy actually.
yeah, he really wants to save everyone. And but then Japan, he's like no, this guy's awful.
Yeah, well, at least that was the original intention for
Mhm.
Godzilla, right? It's obviously evolved over time, but the original one was like a critique on dropping the bombs.
Mm. Do you
Um,
do you enjoy those type of movies like the what are they called, kaiju's?
I I can get some enjoyment out of them.
Mhm.
I always feel a little off when watching the big fights, because I see entire city blocks get destroyed,
Just
and like
buildings toppling.
I know that if this was real, and even in the context of the movie, this is happening. Thousands of people are just getting crushed all the time,
See,
every time a building gets destroyed, and I'm just like, this
this
is.
is ghost physics. This is what I mean. It's like you kind of get taken out because you're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, we just don't care. It's just kind of like it's nice to see him do this, but like this is awful. Like we're
I
not
don't
even mentioning
I
how
don't
bad
feel
it
good.
is.
I don't feel good watching thousands of people die
Have
every time. it's
like
it's almost as if you were watching the planes hit the
the towers
towers,
like a
but
million times,
17 times every time they throw a punch, right?
and
It's
then the
like,
next day it happens again in a different city.
and they move on. Life is normal. I mean,
Have
I guess is what you would do. I don't know
have,
what
have
would
you seen
happen.
the I think it's the 2014 or 2013 Godzilla?
I might have. I've seen.
It's just called Godzilla, and it's a movie from the perspective of the people. People hated it when it came out. I loved it, and it's like it's from the perspective of like an army soldier, and like you really only ever see the feet for the most part of the movie of like Godzilla, and it's terrifying. It's exactly how you're saying. You're like, this would be awful happen in real life. It makes it
Mhm.
terrifying again.
I think I saw the sequel to it, The King of
Mhm.
Monsters or whatever, but I
No,
haven't seen.
I've heard that one was okay, but
Yeah,
I didn't really.
I didn't see the original.
The original, you should see the original. It's exactly what you wanted. You're like, this would be awful if it happened.
Uh huh.
You
Jeez. Okay, that's
know?
yeah. I don't know, man. Kaiju's scary.
Cloverfield, you should watch that one too.
Cloverfield. I have wanted to watch Cloverfield. That
Cloverfield
is.
is really good. Oh,
Yeah,
and the sequels, you'll love the sequels, like the paradox stuff, because it's like multiverse type thing.
that's cool. I do think that is cool.
So it's like some Wendigoon type stuff. You'll love it. I think you'll love Cloverfield
Yeah.
if you can sit through it. The first one's kind of a horror movie.
Yeah, I could. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't get scared by horror movies per se. I mean, it's we watched Skinnamarink. I've seen horror movies. I've seen sad movies.
Hey,
I
I'm
just
ranking here.
yeah. When that moment when Skinnamarink said it's Skinnamarinking time, and Skinnamarinked all over the
And he
place.
skinned all over the.
He skinned all over the rink. No. Yeah, I can watch them. I don't want to put myself through that voluntarily, right? It's if I'm doing it, to watch it with a friend, or Ali wants me to watch it or something, right? But I won't go out of my way to watch something that I know probably won't be the most pleasant viewing experience most
Yeah.
of the time. So yeah, I could definitely sit through Cloverfield, but to do a almost a 180 uh in terms of what we're talking about.
Sure, sure.
I guess going back to silly goofy news,
Mm.
the TikTok,
Oh, I
TikTok
forgot.
court case.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
They did not let that man speak at all. The CEO. They asked him, "Does TikTok connect to the Wi-Fi?"
Ali showed me that clip.
They said, "Does TikTok use the camera?" And he was like, well, when you open the app and you actually want to record something, yes. And they're like, that's enough. That's enough out of you. No more. They just kept cutting that
Who
man
was
off.
it? The dude who was asking the Wi-Fi, he was from North Virginia, I think. I think he was North Virginia. And he was the most North Virginia looking man. It was awesome. Okay, but here's the thing. People are rightfully clowning on the Congress people.
Mhm.
I completely agree with that. I respect that to the utmost degree. Congress people do deserve to be clowned on in every aspect, in every regard, basically. Um, but people who have almost built this cult like following or like love for the TikTok CEO are also not, I guess, thinking critically.
That's
They're
true.
just like, this dude's, I love this guy. He's so nice. He's fighting for TikTok. And I like TikTok, so that makes him a good guy. Even though he's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation that, yeah, sure, works, that is like Chinese owned, but who cares about that? They could just get the information, the personal information. Basically, all of the personal information that they already get from us through TikTok, they could just buy from data brokers. So it doesn't even matter.
Mhm.
But he still, regardless, is the CEO of a major company that, takes advantage of its workers so he could make a bunch of money. And just because he's more personable and probably definitely more attractive than like Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whatever, that doesn't change the fact that he's the same as them. He just speaks nicer and looks prettier. That's it.
Mhm.
He's still a bad guy. And people who like make fan edits of him and like do this and where like the TikTok he made after, like, thank you for all your support and this, like, we'll continue to make TikTok like PR speak. It's just
Mhm.
it's, I don't know, it makes me a little gross. It makes me feel a little gross because all
slimy.
these people are being manipulated right in front of their eyes, and it's like, come on, man. It's a little scary.
I will say though, those Congress people have a motive. All I'm
Of
gonna say,
course.
look at what stocks they invested in before that
Of
meeting.
course. Yeah, they do have a motive. And that's the thing. TikTok's already gone on the lobbying front where they're already actively currently lobbying different Congress people through like super PACs and stuff to
Mm.
get them to advocate to in favor of TikTok. So it doesn't matter. Nothing's gonna change. It's all just nothing. It's a big nothing burger. Nothing's gonna come out of this. It's entertaining, sure, but I mean, really, all that's being done is like, it's like propaganda for the TikTok CEO. That's it. It's just making him look good.
Mhm.
Nothing else is gonna come out of this. Nothing's gonna change.
I can't believe that actually happened though. Like, just the way they were talking to him. You know what I mean?
No, it's funny. Well, yeah, because the whole thing is like, sir, like, does this do anything on your phone? It's like, well, yes, it does. Like, that's it.
All I needed to hear. Need I say more?
Yeah, need I say more? Um, it's it's funny, but it doesn't matter because you know why they're doing it. They're doing it so that they can get ByteDance to divest from the company so that they can leave, and that like Meta or something can buy them out, and then just instead of ByteDance getting all the information or like storing it or whatever that isn't selling it to data brokers,
It'll be the American
Meta
government.
Meta and the American government would have access to all the information, and then they could just freely sell it to data brokers. That's the only difference. There's nothing else. There's no actual security risks or anything because there's no security, right? Like, whether it's owned by the Chinese government that can easily get your information from somewhere else, or whether it's owned by the American government, there's no security. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. None of this matters. It's literally just political theater. That's it. There's nothing else to it.
True. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was like a bad conference for both sides, really. Like you said, that people are idolizing him, and I'm just like, it's
Yeah.
still like,
Yeah, he doesn't care about you.
he's still selling your info. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I mean, Meta does that too. But like, doesn't make either of them good.
No, he's not a
But
good person.
At the end of the day, we're both using both these apps, so it's kind of like that meme where it's like, we live in a society. You know?
Yeah, it's like,
we live in one.
you can't critique the system because you operate within the system.
Yeah,
so what do you want me to do?
I don't know. I mean, there's no really like thing for it. I guess we're just
You don't, right? That's the thing. You can't. It's like it's a catch-22. It's like,
yeah.
oh, you have an iPhone, so you can't critique the cobalt that's in your phone, like the mining of the cobalt that's in your phone or whatever. You can't critique it and call it unjust because you're using it currently.
And yet you can't live without it.
Exactly. You can't live without it. You can't get the message across either, like, of saying this is bad, because then people are going to be like, oh, but you don't have an iPhone. You're poor, right? We can't live like you because you're poor, even though that's not the point. That's not the point you're trying to get across. The point is that it's like unethical or like unethically sourced or whatever, which is true. So yeah, I don't.
People's media literacy just.
It's just they're mad. They're mad. They're mad. They're mad about you possibly accurately critiquing something that's like happening in front of them, right? Like it's okay. It's like saying, the Iraq war was bad, or again, cobalt in your phones, right? It's mined in third world countries where the miners and the people working in the fields are being used and abused and have an awful existence, and that's a bad thing, right? It's very bad. They're not. It's completely unjustifiable. It's awful, and some people will be like, "Oh, okay, but you're using an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
You can't say anything. You can't use a phone without the cobalt. The whole point is, you want people, the people who are mining it, the people who are actually doing these things, to be at the very least treated better, right? To be treated as actual human beings, to have better working conditions and all that stuff. And that has nothing to do with the fact that there is cobalt currently in the phones. It's just you're just trying to say something like, "Hey, treat these people better." It's like, no, you're stupid. You're using the phone. I don't know, but that's been done to death. People have always, tons of people have made that same assessment. Tons of people have already critiqued that before. I'm not saying anything original here. It's just, it's so blatantly obvious that all you could say is that, because like obviously that's what's going on.
They can't come up with anything to like say back, because it's like, you really gonna argue for that type of treatment
Yeah.
of the workers and all that?
You know what's crazy?
Hmm.
I saw on, because okay, I don't use Twitter very often.
Okay.
I don't use Twitter because I don't like having my brain turn to mush, right?
Yeah,
I don't
of course,
like,
of course.
I don't use Twitter because I know what it does to people. I know how addictive it is in like a negative loop, a negative feedback loop. And it's, like people have, at least people say, the worst takes and critiques are always hosted there. It's just so bad, so stupid. Like everything has to be um like make or break, like a political statement, or has to be like, this is very important. We can't it'll turn from like a discussion of what sandwich you should use in your bread, like for what reason, and then it'll go into like genocide and all these things, and it'll just divulge, and it'll be like, no, you have to figure this out. This has to be a debate. We have to come to a solution, because if not, the world will end or something. Like, who cares? It's bread on your sandwich.
Wow, you would say that. White privilege much, huh?
It's stupid, right? So that's why I don't use Twitter very often. But today I did open it up for a second.
For a second, then close it.
For a second, I closed it afterwards. But I did see something. It was what was it? It was I saw it because somebody I follow retweeted and like responded to it. But it was like counterculture in the '60s or whatever, and it was like a dude with a mohawk and like people with dyed hair, all that stuff. And then it said counterculture in the counterculture today, and it was a photo of PewDiePie and and Martia, and they're like a little photo, like an ultrasound of their baby. And they said counterculture today, saying that having a family, or like a heterosexual relationship between two white people, having being pregnant, like having a family, is counterculture.
I get
which
you.
is the stupidest thing. Nobody thinks that's counterculture. That's not a real thing. No one.
They are being oppressed.
No one's saying don't have kids and don't marry somebody, or don't don't have a relationship with the opposite sex. Nobody has ever said that. Nobody is saying that. If they are, they're crazy and not important, and they have no actual opinion, because nobody is advocating for that. There's no power there. It doesn't matter. No one is actually seriously considering that in any position of any government ever. That's not a thing. That's like radical, like what? Like libbed up feminists, maybe,
I don't even know,
who are like kill all men or something, like femcells, right? People who believe we should kill all men or whatever. It's like, but they don't matter, because who cares? Because they're so marginal. There's so few of them, and it doesn't matter because there's no power. There's nothing there. That's not counterculture. The norm is quite literally a heterosexual relationship between a man and a woman, and they're expected to at least have a single child.
And most do.
And most do. Yeah. Like it's stupid. It's
that
really
will
stupid.
pretty much always be the normal culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say normal culture, because like other things are normal. I guess the most common
it's
culture.
the most. It's the most, I guess, common, right? It is it is like the baseline default.
But people want to act like they're the oppressed group, and they're like, no, like, you cannot have children.
No.
We will make sure you can never have a child. You cannot marry who you want to marry. Or straight people cannot marry who they want to marry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they say that it's not real. It's not true. It doesn't make sense. but you want to feel oppressed. You want to feel oppressed so badly that you just like you want a taste of it so bad for no reason. Um, and you'll say that's counterculture, which is stupid. No one says that.
Amen.
Um, yeah, that was all I had to say on that. I guess Twitter's dumb.
Yeah.
People on Twitter are dumb.
Brain mush.
Brain mush.
Yeah, I think most social medias, except for like Instagram, maybe if you're just using it for friends, like just
Uh-huh.
keeping up with friends. Um, Other than that, I think they're all kind of like just a bunch of bad takes. It's either like the one far side or another far side.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do agree. It does turn your brain to mush, negative feedback loop.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are some benefits, I guess, to it. Like one,
Well, you just become more connected to people, right? You can hear
Mm.
different people's opinions. You can become potentially better informed if you're not fed misinformation and don't decide to like do your due diligence and actually research it yourself to make sure to clarify or whatever. But
Mhm.
it's there's benefits, but there are many drawbacks too, and that's why there has to be moderation. But people are saying you're stifling my free speech because you're moderating, even though everything has to have moderation to a certain extent, because there are many things that are insane that people would never or should never be posting on the internet freely.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, just but again, it's the free speech thing is stupid because the whole now I don't want to get into like the whole Elon Musk thing where it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm a free speech absolutist, and then he's like people started making fun of him and posing as him and like making parody
Yeah.
accounts, and some people were saying explicitly parody, but they would still get banned because
Mhm.
he's a sore loser with thin skin and like he's just a little whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. I do too.
Is it time?
I think it's time.
All right.
Hello, Christopher Paolini, author of The Inheritance Cycle. My name is Sergio, and I would absolutely love it, okay, if you, because as a producer and co-writer of the Aragon series for Disney Plus that is in pre-production currently, would possibly be willing to consider having me as an extra at the very least, or at the very most, even doesn't matter to me, because that would be awesome. It'd be a dream come true. I've read The Inheritance Cycle, the Aragon books, like 3 times at least, just front to back over and over again because they're awesome. So yeah, hi. If you see this, cool. If not, it's fine. But yeah, hello. Um, you to reach out maybe if you want. You don't have to. I'm not begging you. It's just, hi. Yeah, that's it. Um, we're back, and I think done almost.
Yeah,
It's
I think
4:07.
I think we're pretty much wrapped up now.
Yeah,
That was a good segment right there. I
that
like
was.
that.
Yeah, I got a little heated.
I had to cool down with
I had to cool
the
down.
author.
My face feels so red. I feel like I look like a cherry right now.
No, you're fine.
Really?
I could see a little bit getting red during when you were talking, but
I
it's
feel like a
cooled down.
cherry. Speaking of cherry, oh, my gum's gone. Never mind.
Ah.
The gum I was chewing at the beginning of this episode is a black cherry flavor. Really cool. I love it. But yeah, that's. I guess that was it. Do you have
Okay.
anything to say? Any closing statements?
No, man,
No.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, this has been episode 7 of Budding Bromance. Have a nice week. We'll see you next week.
Amen.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.